Hi lovely people, it's me Jessica and I'm back with another video. This time I am doing a pre-recorded video because of all of the hate from the last video. This is actually the article I wanted to get into, and it is titled, "Do the future plans of educated Black women include Black mates?" And so this stood out to me. You guys know I'm studying a lot and researching about plus size, and this actually came across my path. And this is from the Journal of Negro Education, and there's a specific volume here. So I'll walk through this as I'm reading through it because I'm interested. I thought, why not record it and provide some reactions to this, as I had planned to do in the prior video, tying it to the show Girlfriends. Do the future plans of educated Black women include Black mates? Now, this was an older study, but I do think it's still a relevant question today. Now, it gives an overview, an introduction, and all of that here. Information on Black women's plans for careers, marriage, and family, and their choices of dating and marriage partners was obtained from a questionnaire distributed to a sample of, and it says 70, of young, unmarried Black female college students enrolled at a large urban university. So this would be an HBCU. Nearly 4/5 of the women plan to study beyond college. Nearly 90% hoped for a career. The majority envision a future with husbands and children. However, with as many as 15% opting to remain single. Clues for this choice were sought from their answers to the questions on their dating experiences and their attitudes towards Black men. Data were also collected and analyzed on the willingness of the women to date and marry men from other racial or ethnic groups. So they give this introduction. And I'm not going to hone too much in here, but they do note some statistics. When young, educated Black women at a large city university began voicing apprehension about finding college-educated mates, Bronzaf, one of the authors, decided to undertake a study examining these women's future goals. She found that, like their white and Hispanic counterparts, wanted it all: career, marriage, and family. 2/3 of these women planned to further their education beyond college. Over 90% wanted careers in business, law, health, or education. And over 80% looked toward a future in which their careers could be combined with marriage and children. Bronzaf notes, however, that a large number of Black college women, 7% compared to 0% for Hispanics and 2% for whites, indicated the desire to be an unmarried career woman. Did this larger percentage reflect the anxiety of the young, educated Black women in Bronzaf's studies over finding appropriate marriage partners of similar race or ethnic background and comparable educational standing? The present study investigates this phenomenon. So I'm going to read a little bit of this. Note that this was a study, I believe, in the 90s. So we'll kind of go through and just figure out what these women were able to find out and how it might relate to today. Spanner and Glick note that a Black single woman seek good educations and high-paying jobs. They find it more difficult to locate suitable marriage partners of any race. Teichman, Polanco, and Lay's 1987 research echoes this concern, as does that of Staples, 1979, who claims that many Black educated women will accept nothing less than a mate of similar educational level. Further accentuating the plight of educated Black women, Staples reports that among the Black female population in the United States, Black women who possess college degrees are least likely to marry. He also found that the higher the level of education Black women attain, the higher their probability of divorce. Now that is really interesting. Washington and Newman, 1991, support the notion that Black women may prefer to remain single rather than settle for unions with less educated Black men who, these researchers contend, will not be able to satisfy these women's psychological needs. Wow. Which I can kind of understand that from that level if you're thinking about someone, and this could be a man or a woman, with a lot of education. I'm talking more than a bachelor's degree, right? So they have maybe a PhD. Well, I can't imagine a pairing with someone with zero educational background would really enlighten them so much. What are they really going to talk about in that situation? So I can relate to that. I do not have a PhD. However, I feel like for women in general, the saying is normally that we mature mentally quicker than most men. And so if you add on education, highly educated woman in a pool of men that are not as educated, even if they start their own business or they're successful in other ways, if they're not educated, the mentality, what's the mentality going to be? So it's interesting that they're saying they will not be able to satisfy the women's psychological needs. Moreover, as Washington and Newman state, Black women are likely to remain single or seek out alternative means of meeting these needs. Interesting. What might some of these alternatives means be? Are these educated Black women seeking to increase the pool of suitable mates by dating men of other racial, ethnic backgrounds? If census data is any indicator, a growing number of men and women, both Black and white, are challenging traditional taboos against interracial marriage. While Black female, white male married couples accounted for less than 1% of all marriages in the US in 1993, again, we're in the 90s, the number of these couples was 2.5 times greater in 1993 than 1970. This is from U.S. Department of Commerce. Black women do marry members of other minority groups, but do so even less frequently. The general pattern of white-Black marriages usually involves Black males and white females. This was true for approximately 76% in 1977, 72% in 1980, and 68% in 1987. This is based on Blackwell, 1991, noting the source, but rose again to 75% in 1993. Blackwell maintains that more Black men than white cross color boundaries for marriage partners because the former have been socialized to believe that Caucasian features are more desirable and that marriage to white women will enhance both their egos and their status in society. So this is saying that the idea is that Black men believe that dating or marrying white will uplift both of their social statuses. I don't really know if that's true. A white woman would have to tell us more about that on that end, but we can definitely say that it may enhance a Black man's standing because of the woman's whiteness. Maybe. Again, I'm not saying that's true. This is what they're saying that men think, so that's interesting. On the other hand, Blackwell contends white men are penalized economically and socially when they intermarry. Thus, fewer of them choose Black women as marriage partners. That actually made me think of that movie, Guess Who? And I know there's like an older version, but the one that I saw had Bernie Mac as the dad of this girl, Zoe Saldana's character, who goes off and dates Ashton Kutcher's character. And Ashton Kutcher had told his boss, hey, I'm going to marry that Black girl. He didn't say it like that, of course, but that's basically the conversation. And his mentor and boss said, you should marry her, yada, yada. And he ends up quitting. Now, that's not the same scenario here to say that, he fired him or anything, but his career was kind of on the line due to this man's feelings about who he wanted to marry. So that is interesting. Washington and Newman, raise an issue other than availability that might frustrate Black women in their dating relationships with Black men. They cite studies supporting the notion that hostility between Black men and Black women has increased because Black men are losing educational and economic ground. Oh my goodness, this is in the 90s. So all of these weird conversations, or like in my past live chat where this assumingly Black man is coming in and saying all of these negative things about Black women, right? That really throws off the live chat a bit. And all the things that you see online where these podcasters are spewing hateful things about Black women, right? These tensions are not new. I actually thought they were new. I just imagined, oh, it couldn't have been like this from the beginning. It couldn't have been like this in the 90s when I was born. And they point out that it's been due to the fact that Black men are losing educational and economic ground. Furthermore, another study, Franklin, maintains that Black men's sometimes aggressive and violent behavior towards Black women stems from their attempts to adopt white men's role, thus the reality that Black men have as yet been unable to assume the level of participation in society enjoyed by white men exacerbates Black male-female tension. So we talked about this video where Black men were talking about just their everyday kind of struggle. And one of the men said that, seeing how people react to them, it makes them angry. And one thing that I brought up in that video is that anger, it has to go somewhere. Where would you think it goes? Well, if a man is coming back into the Black community, I would think that it would either go to other Black men, Black women, or children, right? Black children, to be specific. So that is so interesting. Then this is a study from 1984, maintains that Black men sometimes, let's be clear, it does say sometimes, aggressive and violent behavior towards Black women stems from their attempts to adopt white men's role. We have seen the stories upon stories upon stories of Black men attacking Black women, either from turning them down in the case of some of the stories that came out of New York. In other cases, it's actually someone that is a partner, right? Their boyfriend, their husband. Now, we know there's DV cases in every group, of course, but the rates are higher for Black women. So that was interesting to point out there in the study. So according to Bell, 1989, the realization that Black men cannot serve as protectors of Black women is particularly disturbing to professional and educated Black women. Oh man. Yes, that is probably one of the main things that a woman wants in a mate. You want to feel protected, right, ladies? Have Black women, and particularly, Hare claims that slavery and racial oppression have led to distrust, envy, and disloyalty between Black men and Black women. And of course, a lot of this will stem from slavery. Thus, he concludes it is no mishap that Black male-female courtship and marriage relations are often strained and contentious, especially among the more educated. Now, they are relating slavery. Here's the thing, though. I want to study more about Africa because I have even heard disturbing things when you look at the men and women in African countries. So we're going to do more about that this year and learn more. But that is interesting. It's not the first time I'm hearing some of this in here.